all the professors and heads of department, who are active with our with ACI. So I think from there also the response was quite okay. I don't know whether how many of them have joined, but at least a lot of people said that they were up for it.
Yes, sir. And it is good
Yes,
that
sir.
you are presenting an overview because many of us are not
Correct.
aware of whole domain of the construction chemicals and are not so aware. So once we get
Correct.
some overview, then of course for details one may get into touch with you or any leader of the construction chemicals.
Of course.
Uh, so I think we may start because it is already 10:58 or 59. So we may start
Okay.
and the participants already 31, 32 and they may join in next 2, 3 minutes.
Okay. So should I start sharing my screen?
Yes, sir. Kindly, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So is it visible? Is it loaded on?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Yeah.
However, may kindly make it full screen, sir.
Yeah, it is. It is full screen.
On
It is
the
in presentation mode already. Can you see it like that?
uh, on the left, other slide in small is also visible. So presentation mode, whole screen, if any, because it is coming in center, but not full screen as such.
Now can you see it full screen?
Not yet, sir.
Not yet. That is weird. Because from my screen, it is coming like my screen is shared.
No, screen is shared. Video is
Yeah.
full screen. Your video is full screen. Now PPT has gone. You may again share. Yes. Uh, it is coming, but smaller one. Means center. It is coming in center. If you can,
How about now?
it is still not forwarding. It is first slide only.
Now?
Not, sir, not.
Because I cannot see my own screen here for some reason. So,
Yeah,
because
now it
in
is.
my screen,
Now it is
now it is
wonderful. Now it is wonderful, sir.
okay.
Now it is wonderful, sir.
Fine. Fine. So, okay. So, everyone, welcome. So, good morning. Thanks for firstly having me for this faculty development program on sustainability engineering. So I'm here today to discuss with you a little bit more about, like, firstly, let me also thank Agarwal sir for, coordinating for, I think, last, I'm not sure how many, about 3, 4 months. So it's been, I know it's been a long road, and thank you for the opportunity, and, thanks for having me over. And also thanks for the wonderful, wonderful introduction as well. So today what we will be discussing a little bit is about the construction chemicals and construction chemical industry, construction chemical industry as a whole. Because what generally our industry or what we bring to the industry is a lot of durability, and through the durability, what is coming through as an end product is sustainability. So we'll talk a lot about these concepts. So just here's my card, just in case you want to take a screenshot or something to contact me. So basically, I am a civil engineer, concrete technologist by profession. But also, last about 15 years, I've been mostly in this line of construction chemicals, and I've seen and worked through the inside out with this. So hopefully, I should be able to give you a holistic overview of the industry as a whole. So going on the agenda today, I'll just introduce to you. I'll just introduce to you what construction chemicals are, what we are about, how we add value, and so on. After that, we'll just talk a little bit about the solutions itself. That means the different products and what you can, different kind of product systems what you can do with it, what are the possibilities that you can apply it even as part of your research or as part of the solutions that you offer. So what are the solutions? I'll just go very quickly through some detailing. So detailing means our industry is an expert not only in materials, in making the materials, but also in telling you how to use it, or also in telling you how to re-engineer your structures, or also experts in telling you how something should be applied to get the maximum life or the maximum benefit out of it. So detailing is very, very important. And after that, we shall be finally concluding. So, sir, my slides are still progressing, right? I mean, you can see. Let's get started on the screen, right? Agarwal, sir. Or if somebody can just give me an indication through the chat that that you can see the slides progressing and it's all visible,
Yes,
that
sir.
would be
Yes, sir.
great.
It's
Yes, sir, we
visible,
are
sir. You
seeing.
can start, sir, please.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so let's get started with with basically an introduction, like who we are. So basically, if we see the origins of construction chemical, or origins of the industry, it came through the industry came into being because of problems in concrete buildings. And these are, I mean, what you're seeing on the screen, of course, is a lot of the common kind of problems that are seen. Water seepages, leakages in the building, be it honeycombing, then there is corrosion, or there is large scale damage to the concrete. Say maybe there are some problems with masonry, or you need special materials for masonry. So that is kind of taken care with our industry. Even when you're talking flooring systems, damaged concrete, um, um, whatever dampness, wetness, corrosion, like any kind of problems that are associated with concrete and building industry. Basically, our industry came into being to help you solve those problems, or help constructors solve those issues in the long run. So by definition, we can say that we are kind of a bridge between the chemical industry and the construction industry. And what we do is, I mean, we are experts at understanding chemistry. So chemistry of different chemicals, the chemistry of cement, the chemistry of say the chemistry of cement hydration, or cement hydration water interfaces, the chemistry of soil. So we are experts in understanding chemistry. So we know what chemicals to select from say from a very wide pool of chemicals available, and see which ones are the most suitable for construction, and uh, thereby create solutions for the construction industry on the whole. So if we go to define it, like step by step, like what we hello, I can set just a moment. I can hear a lot of echo. Is that okay now? Yeah. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so by definition, we are a wing of specialty chemicals. That means we basically come from the chemical industry. So, whereby we utilize the knowledge of chemicals, and then we are devising solutions for the construction industry. So, the aim of our industry is to improve the durability and the sustainability of the built structure. So our expertise basically comes into three basic categories. Like if we take the entire range of what construction chemicals offers, we can break it down into these three broad areas. So the first one, of course, is concrete enhancement. So by what's meant by concrete enhancement is that there are additives, then there are different kind of materials available to make the initial concrete construction much better. That how do you enhance the properties of concrete? How do you make it, say, easier to flow, easier to place, compact to cure? How do you improve the properties of various concretes? So that's what comes under concrete enhancement. Then under concrete repair, say for example your concrete is damaged, like something, if people don't use the first part, our concrete enhancement solutions, when concrete undergoes rapid deterioration, and then to repair that kind of deterioration, so what all different kinds of mortars, all different kinds of say supplementary binders, or different kind of strengthening systems, like epoxies or things like that, injection systems. So then we also offer those kind of special materials for repairing the concrete and restoring it to its original condition. And once these two steps are over, we also provide solutions to protect the concrete in the long run. So that is basically how concrete structure, uh, will attain its value, because only once you protect your concrete properly, only then you can assure that yes, this is going to actually live through its design life, or this is actually going to have a long life, and thereby you generate sustainability and value for your for a different structures. So also what we are good in is that we are very good as knowledge partners, because we know how to manipulate all these different materials. Like for example, a simple repair plaster that was earlier just simple cement and sand. So we know how to manipulate that to get much better properties out of it. For example, how to make the bond better, how to make it much more waterproof, how to make it stick better, how to make sure it doesn't sag and fall down. Like in concrete enhancement, how to make SCC, how to make say acid resistant concrete. So all those kinds of manipulations are possible by use of proper construction chemicals. And concrete protection means it involves a lot more things like waterproofing or different types of coating. So this is how these are some things that you can simply apply to a concrete structure, and by that improve the life of it in the long run. So if we talk about it, or if we think about it in the long run, then the construction chemicals have basically influenced the durability of the structures. So, like say, a lot of times, in the construction industry, or even when you're talking to slightly senior engineers, then they talk a lot about durability, and a lot of the times the discussion comes up that yes, our whatever we built in olden time, like our forts or ancient structures, like look, they have survived for thousands of years. Then why not concrete? So that is something that we need to really start thinking about, that over time, as we have gone now, construction has become much faster. Space is a constraint, so we have to now stop thinking expansive structures horizontally. We are now thinking vertically. So the construction systems have changed, and with all those things have come newer challenges. So how to make concrete more durable for our everyday application is something that the construction chemical industry really works on in the long term. Now, the sustainability part of it also comes through very, very easily, or CC influences the sustainability, we say. That is because by proper use of construction chemicals, one is that you say maybe reduce the OPC content. I mean, that is one of the outcomes that you're looking for, or rather, you're optimizing the OPC content. Uh, your structures last much longer, so you don't need to kind of repair and rehabilitate them as frequently. So that is another. So you're not spending time, money, fuel, and manpower to kind of do that. So that's how it starts bringing sustainability into it. Another area that it has really helped is speed. For example, today I think we develop concretes that gain strength very, very fast. For example, so if somebody wants to even go one floor, second floor, third floor, say maybe in a matter of days, that is also possible. And the last one is, of course, a lot of these materials where they've helped is the ease of use. So concretes, for example, have we can dramatically improve the flow of concrete. So because of that, placing it even in the most slender elements becomes possible. Or, for example, you are now having waterproofing built into your concrete, or maybe self-curing. The curing built into concrete. So a lot of these things, like self-compacting concrete, for example, it's concrete you don't have to vibrate. So definitely, use of construction chemicals have improved the ease of use of different materials and made them more accessible to the general population. Okay. So then the next thing we can say that construction chemicals affect are these six parameters. So efficiency is of course one of them. It's because you're optimizing the use of different materials. So your construction overall becomes much more efficient in terms of time, in terms of the materials used, but basically in terms of the life cycle costing. That apart, of course, the use of construction chemicals is a tremendous boost to strength. For example, your concretes today are becoming much more stronger and much more durable. And this kind of an evolution has become possible only because of concrete admixtures and because of construction chemicals. So now aesthetics is something that also it aids. Like for example, there are different sort of finishes available today. When those things come from the construction chemical industry, the concrete itself becomes much more beautiful. For example, form finished concrete, or you can say exposed aggregates finishes. So all these kind of things become possible only by use of construction chemicals. Of course, since the structures are much better and much more durable, construction chemicals really help with safety. So that means there is less chances of damage, less chances of collapses, and it really improves the life. So it improves safety over a long time. Value, of course, it improves tremendously, improves the lifespan of buildings, and therefore it improves the life cycle economy of structures. And last but not least, in energy conservation. For example, today there are coatings available which are what we call thermal coatings. These coatings can reduce the amount of energy used during the life cycle of the building by almost 30%. Then even during the time of construction, for example, you're using say today different kind of plasticizers, so you need to expend less energy to mix, place, and finish concrete. So all these kind of different things, you can now use a lot of supplementary cementitious materials into your mix. Thereby, you're optimizing or reducing the OPC content, and thereby again saving a lot of energy conservation and helping the environment. So all these things, or making sure that the concrete, the properties of the concrete or properties of the materials are up there, but with minimum inputs, is something that is possible only through the use of construction chemicals. So in short, I would say for the construction industry, we create value. So that is the first thing. So a lot of people take up means even as professors, I would professors or faculty in our engineering colleges. I think this is something, even when you discuss with constructors, or when people come to you for consultancy or something like that, this is something that you should really put forward. Using of any of these construction chemicals, that means using admixtures or using a waterproofing system, or using say using a different flooring system, a protection system, tiling, or whatever different materials that we are going to see today. These things are not a cost, it's an investment. It's an investment into making your structures better. It's an investment in improving the life of the structure. It's an investment in improving your efficiency and value for it. So basically, if anyone comes and says that, no, I want to save money by not adding admixture, it's a very wrong thought process, because the little investment that you make in a proper admixture and a proper construction chemical really helps you long term for your entire structure. So, if you the next thing, that if you think about today, like the conditions that are existing today with the pandemic, with the way that we construct, so you have to little bit think about what does construction need today. Okay, so if you consider the construction industry in India, it's a mature industry. I mean, we have been constructing for a very very long time. It's one of the biggest industries, or industry sectors in India. So it is an activity that definitely has an effect on the GDP. The amount that we construct every year is really growing, and so far, if we actually see the conditions today, a lot of our construction is very dependent or very heavy on manual labor. So there is of course, and now the problem with that is today there is a shortage of skilled labor. And also, also if we talk about, okay, a new mega projects or something like that, they use a lot of automation, but a majority of the construction that happens in our industry doesn't. So even with the limited automation, it's always an issue to be taken care of. And basically, to achieve economy, we need to make construction much faster, and also now, keeping in mind the pandemic, we need to make construction less crowded. So this is the situation today. I mean, however much we like it, we will need to kind of maintain that distancing over time. So because of that, construction will need to evolve today. So your construction will need to become much faster, It will need to become distance. That means sufficient distance has been between two people. So basically, it will have to optimize the number of people employed. So people cannot be working very much at very close quarters still. So it will need to we will need to sort of rethink the way that we are constructing, or rethink the way that we are working, and we will have to make the construction much more efficient, much more skilled. But at the same time, this is something we will have to be working on. Since manpower will remain a constraint in the near future, we will have to make construction a lot more durable and a lot more sustainable. Like without that particular thing, the structures just simply won't last long. And if they don't last long, we'll have to again get people and allocate resources to repair it. So this is something. So our structures need to be durable and sustainable from the word go. So basically, we need to start thinking about building better and faster. And this is going to be possible only by use of construction chemicals. So now a lot of people ask me, like, about construction chemicals. Like if I generally ask today's cross section of the people who are attending, what do you know about construction chemicals? So most people will simply think that construction chemicals means it is concrete and mortar additives, like all different admixtures are construction chemicals. Yes, partly you're right, because the technology did evolve from the concrete and mortar additives. But that apart, today construction chemicals has ventured into different concreting and finishing aids. So that means things like mold release agents, things like curing compounds, things like plasters and different kind of mortars. Then it goes another area that most people associate us with is the waterproofing systems. So of course, anything that is used to protect water from coming into your house is or into your building or into your infrastructure is something that we normally work with. Then there are other factors which are much more architectural, for example, like things like tile and stone fixing, or things like different kind of sealers and cleaners to maintain your concrete facade, or to maintain marble or granite or natural stones and things like that. Then we also work a lot with industrial products. So what does industrial products mean? That means say these are specialty materials that are used to anchor machinery bases. These are special materials that are used to protect industrial metal sheds, for example. So say maybe there are again systems relating to industrial is floorings. So any different kind of floor, whether it's a commercial building, or whether it's an industrial building, or whether it's a residential building, a lot of the flooring systems is something that comes from the construction chemical industry. That apart, of course, we are into repairing concrete. This we already said. So there are a lot of special materials here, like premixed mortars are there. You have your anti-corrosive, anti-corrosion coatings. You have your micro concretes and things like that, rust converters, corrosion protection systems, a lot of those different kind of materials, injection systems, and so on. Then we have your concrete protection systems. So that means there are systems for protecting structures that are underground. There are systems for protecting structures that are overground. And again, this is sort of a subset of the waterproofing systems. Then, of course, our industry works for to make solutions for historical buildings, because the old buildings are not like new. So, for example, if it's a building that's 100 to about 100, 200, 300 years old, you cannot repair this with concrete, and it needs special materials. So that is something our industry works in. There is a lot of things available. I mean, there's a whole new class of material called resins. So resins might be anything based on acrylics, it will be polyurethanes, it will be epoxies. I'm sure you would have heard all these terms before. So a lot of these systems are today put into use, for waterproofing, for repairs, for soil and slope stabilization. So it's like they're all kind of interconnected, but at the same time, we break them down into these different solutions. So the aim of using all these different materials is to ensure that we get sustainable construction. So a lot of people, talk about sustainability in very, I mean, large terms, and we are using this term, I mean, very interchangeably these days. But if I've read through a lot of these things, and a simple way for me to put it is sustainable construction is something that simply reduces the environmental impact or the financial impact over the life cycle of the structure. So by environmental impact, we mean that we say if we are using less cement, we are already reducing the carbon footprint. If we don't repair and keep on repairing the structure, we're using less fuel, less manpower, and also less cement and all those things. So all these really go towards helping the helping the environmental impact of the materials. Of course, and of course, if your structures last longer and they're much more durable, then they also improve your financial impact over life cycle of the structure. So the core idea, I think that something that we have to follow is how we can improve durability. Say how we can improve the carbon footprint. That means reduce the CO2 that goes to the environment. The third is save cost, and the fourth is to save energy. So all these four core ideas are serviced or are able to be put into place by judicious use of construction chemicals. So right now, what I'm going to do is over the next, I think, next roughly about 30, 40 or 50 slides, what we'll be seeing is just the kind of an idea to give you what different construction chemicals are and how they can impact construction, just to show you what the possibilities are basically. So when we talk about, like I said, when we talk about solutions, we work in the field of concrete enhancement, repair, and protection. So from there, the first area that we take up is concrete enhancement. So concrete enhancement means anything that you can do to improve concrete as a whole or improve its properties during its production, transportation, placement, and finishing. So if we also talk about it in our industry, so the admixtures or concrete mortar and additives are one of the biggest segments in the industry. It makes possible a lot of innovations that we see in concrete today. I mean, you've all heard of, or you must all be working on different kind of cell compacting concrete, different kind of high performance concrete, different kind of durable concrete, lightweight concrete, sprayed concrete. So a lot of these kind of innovations are possible only because of concrete mortar and additives that we bring to construction. So basically, a lot of these additives bring speed, economy, and eco-friendliness to your concrete mixes overall. For example, another area that additives go into is like integral waterproofing. So it eliminates the need for membranes. It kind of simplifies construction as a whole, and lot more possibilities are there in lot more possibilities are created because of the admixture technology. So if I simply put it in one word, like concrete, it can have problems with workability. So maybe compaction is difficult, placement or slump or its retention is difficult. It may have a problem with mechanical properties. That means the compressive strength may go lower, flexural strength may go lower. There may be excessive creep, or your concrete may be becoming easily abraded by something. For example, if you're in an industrial floor or in a concrete canal, you might need to start, or in a dam spillway, for example, you may need to think about concretes that are much more resistant to abrasion. So those kind of things can be a problem, but those are problems that can be solved with construction chemicals. Of course, this is something that we are really, I would say, up against in today, or really fighting with, on how to get into durability. I would say, even as a concrete technology, something that I say today, like strength is no longer a big issue to achieve. I mean, our cements have got better. The way that we make concrete has gotten better. So there is a little problem with the skeleton or with the aggregates and sand, but it's nothing that can't be handled. But overall, something that we have to start thinking about slowly is from going from a strength-based criteria to a durability-based criteria. I'm sure you, as the educators of today, are really looking to push this kind of a concept through. But this is something that needs to become mainstream in the thought process for the industry. So under durability, we take a look at things like water resistance, chemical resistance, cracks or porosity, and those are things that we need to address. And oftentimes we need special performance out of concrete. That means, for example, concrete that is resistant to corrosion, for example, concrete that is non-shrink, concrete that is pumpable over long distances, or maybe say if in case of repairs, it's concrete that bonds well to your substrates. So these kind of all of these kind of requirements are solvable by the judicious use of admixtures. Okay, again, just look at this term judicious. So that means admixtures are not not like a magic liquid, something that you can add to concrete, and be done with it. It actually you have to see how to make all these different things work together. It is like, putting. I'm a food enthusiast, so it is like basically putting together a perfect recipe. So say maybe you have your main vegetables or this one and everything, and where what the admixtures are is simply the flavoring, the masala. So you are using it in very very small quantities, but it has the potential to change the properties of your mix big time. But you also have to make sure that all the ingredients actually work in tandem, work in harmony. So you have to use admixtures judiciously, and you have to use the correct mix design procedures. And with that, you can pretty much solve any concrete problem that is there today. So chemical admixtures, of course, there are a lot many types available. There are basic. It starts off from plasticizers and super plasticizers, and there are accelerators, retarders, air entraining agents, for example. There are new generation materials in all these different categories. Integral waterproofing is something that's coming up in a big way since we are focusing a lot more on durability. This has become one of the key players in our industry today. Something that really helps to improve the durability of different concretes. We also need to think about mortar and plaster enhancers. I mean, it's not only that we use concrete, but we are using, say, mortars for different kinds of waterproofing applications. You're using it for repair applications. You're using it to, using it for different kind of finishing applications. So these mortars also need good properties, and that is something that admixtures can help you make better. Then the specialty admixtures is like, whatever cannot be classified in here goes into specialty. So under specialty, you've got things like, say, foam concrete additives to make lightweight concrete. You've got corrosion inhibitors. Different kinds of corrosion inhibitors are there. The different kind of stabilizing agents are there. Viscosity modifying agents. I mean, it's a whole world. Like, basically anything, any property you want to impart to concrete today, it's possible to. It is today possible. It's in the realm of possibility that you will be able to manipulate the properties of a concrete like that, and that is all thanks to the construction chemical and the admixture industry. So like I said, a lot of these innovations are today being made possible simply by use of admixtures. I mean, you can't even imagine making say like a self-compacting concrete or anti-cement or anti-cement washout concrete, or underwater concrete so many years back. I mean, it was a very very difficult process, but today with the right mix design and the right admixtures, all these kind of things, like even lightweight concrete, are very very easily achievable. Today you can easily achieve with lightweight concrete densities of, say, about 500 500 kg per cubic meter to anywhere up to about, say, 15 1600 kg per cubic meter, and also with a bit of compressive strength. So all these of all these kind of different things are possible. Self-compacting concrete is one of the areas which is really made possible only because of modern admixtures. To give you an example, this, for example, is a self-compacting concrete made with a compressive strength of roughly close to about 65 70 newtons per mm square, and this is made with barely about 180 kgs or 190 kgs of OPC. The rest of it is all different, a combination of different supplementary cementitious materials and fillers. And of course, there is an admixture. So there is a high performance flow agent, a plasticizer, as well as VMA, a viscosity modifying agent. And it definitely makes this kind of a green concrete possible today. Something with very, very low OPC contents and very high compressive and durability strengths. So these kind of materials, or these self-compacting concretes has also actually finds use in the industry today. So it's not that these materials are simply made in the lab, but like the Bangalore airport building or the like urban housing projects, they're all working on it. Like we actually have been working on another urban housing concept in which we are using self-compacting concrete. We are using a thermal, like a thermal barrier coating for the entire external waterproofing as well as the paint part of it. And we are using the most modern aluminum formworks. So a combination of these three we found can actually reduce the cost of the units of each of the units or each of the buildings by roughly about 7 to 10%, but at the same time improve the energy consumption, or reduce the energy consumption by 30%, and also improve the life cycle of the building by additional about 20 to 30 years. So all these kind of different different kind of challenges today can be put into reality by use of construction chemicals. So again, another one of the specialty lines is the integral waterproofing additives. So we can there are some additives that simply improve the density of the concrete. So the concrete still remains hydrophilic, but it does not allow any moisture or any water to penetrate through it. Then there are other solutions available which actually make concrete or mortars this kind of hydrophobic. So now you imagine the application is so much. You make a basement with this, or you make tunnels with this, or you make canal linings with this. Then a canal lining does not need any other kind of protective coating over the long run. Or you can start thinking about acid resistant concrete, and these kind of materials definitely, because it lowers the porosity so much, it really helps in helps in achievement of those properties basically. So some of the key areas that have come out of it is, like, of course, high strength, high performance concrete. So today making concretes of, like, say, M80, 90, 100, or even up to 200. Like when I was in Germany, we used to work on really high strength concrete. So it's about 150, 200 MPa concrete. And then we are also modifying it to give it a flexural strength of over about 40 newtons, or over about 40 to 60 newtons. I mean, we are kind of casting. We worked on a project that was casting, like, a small pedestrian bridge deck without having any reinforcement in it. I mean, the concrete itself is reinforced with fibers, but there is no external. I mean, there is no reinforcement bars anywhere in that design. So it is one of the things that might make, of course. I mean, you can start thinking of different structures once you have got these kind of materials that you can make. Okay, so again, a lot more things like fiber reinforced concrete, industrial floorings, decorative concrete, chemically or acid resisting concrete, slip form concrete, fair faced finishes, say precast concrete. All these kind of things are today possible because of plasticizers and super plasticizers. Here also, a lot of people say, okay, Sunny, how does this become sustainable, or how come you're talking about energy savings? So, for example, when you're using self-compacting concrete in precast units, you save a lot of energy that goes in vibrating these forms, because normally it's a big form. They have mechanical vibrators, so you save that much energy in trying to do that, in trying to vibrate the forms. Second, a lot of the precast industry still relies on steam curing. So, for example, today admixtures are available that kind of increase the hydration of it's not an accelerator really, but it improves the hydration of your concrete at early ages. So because of that, you are getting demolding strengths of, say, about 15 to 20 MPa within a day's time, and in a very sustainable way. So that entirely eliminates steam curing. And once steam curing is eliminated, you can just imagine the amount of electricity that goes in generating that steam. All those things are saved. So a lot of these things really help also the sustainability of the concrete. And of course, using admixtures really makes the concrete much better, because you're reducing the water cement ratio, so you're automatically improving the durability. And because of the durability, the life cycle of the concrete itself improves tremendously. Now, areas of application of integral waterproofing, you can use it for different plasters and mortars, of course, as coverings or linings. It's a good thing to use in precast products. Any concrete, for example, if you're casting any basement or any roof, or nowadays you're casting these slip formed walls like this, facade walls. So in all these places, imagine if you can directly add something to the concrete that makes it a lot more waterproof, then you don't need to, over time protect these structures. So a lot of resources are saved. And in that kind of resource saving, and that kind of an economy, is something that admixtures can offer. So when we talk about mortars, also, say for example, today we talk a lot about plasters, to give the building an even facade look, and then to protect it, to act as a layer of protection. So the problem that is coming up these days in a lot of places is the availability of sand. So now in places like Mumbai, for example, there is barely any natural sand available. And a lot of people know that when using crushed sand or when using manufactured sand, it still is not the same as using river sand or using natural sand. And there are problems with the plaster. There's a lot of cracking, there's a lot of glazing, there's a lot of workability problems. So say we have devised solutions today. So we have devised solutions today that uses crushed sand or crushed fines from your quarries, and you can make plaster that looks as beautiful as this. You can just simply see it's very cohesive, made with 100% crushed or manufactured sand, and at the same time you can it's very light, it's very cohesive, it's very fluffy, and it's very waterproof. So we are combining multiple properties into one single architecture to make this possible. This just gives you an idea of how the you can just see um, um, how the material looks overall. So the only thing that we needed to change for this plaster is like there were a lot of surplus, like for particle sizes more than 4 mm. So that was the only fraction that was screened. So whatever was passing 4 mm was removed. I mean that part was separated, but the rest of the crust sand could very easily be used with the fines and with all the other additions or impurities as it was. And you can actually see it makes a very cohesive, very beautiful kind of plaster. So again, that leads to more economy, because then you don't need to keep on dredging your precious river bases, for example, river beds. You don't need to get natural sand from far off places. That saves fuel. It reduces the carbon footprint. So things like that, of course, become possible. So this is just another application. Like we actually got a mason to say start using this material and said how does he feel, and he said, oh, this is as good as using natural sand. So you can imagine the kind of resources that admixtures can help you save. So that part really helps in sustainability. That apart, some of the other things that come into improvement of concrete is things like curing compounds, for example. So it saves labor, it saves time, it saves water. So there's a lot of things that also supplementary materials like this can help you with. Today there are also that apart block bonding mortars available, different mold release agents, plasters available. So all these things really help to improve the, again, I mean, directly they're not applicable into the concrete, but overall it helps improve the quality of concrete in the long run. For example, in terms of curing compounds, it helps with the retention of moisture, of course. It helps prevent cracking, because your normal site curing, water curing is never that efficient. So this kind of brings into a curing compound brings into play the efficiency that you can never have with water curing. These, of course, they also seal and protect your concrete from water and UV. They prevent surface evaporation. And in today's day and age of looking at sustainability, using a curing compound saves lots and lots and lots of curing water. So now you imagine that you have, say, a large building or a large parking lot or something like that. And now to cure this whole thing for 28 days by ponding and with the evaporation, you are wasting so much of water each day. Now all this water, it remains on the site becomes messy. So a simple idea is simply to spray a curing compound. The application is one time. It's much more easier to handle. It's easy to quality control. So that means there is no problem that there is wetting, drying, then tomorrow there is shrinkage and cracking. It eliminates all of the problems. But at the same time, it becomes much more easier. So I would say, advance to solutions like this today. There are, of course, the other solutions available from our industry, which are like ready to use plasters, which have got excellent bond, need a lot less curing. They're very high yield, and you can start using sprayable. So that means these materials are sprayable, so you can apply them very easily. So it brings a lot of speed, economy, and sustainability to construction. You don't need to do a lot of rework. The same goes for block bonding motors. These are I think a new addition to our industry. So it really helps. Now, if I again try to show you some more specialties that I'll just go through the videos one by one from left to right. Like some of the specialties that we have been developing are now things like hydrophobic mortars or hydrophobic plasters. you can just see the amount of hydrophobicity that you can achieve these days. These are again premix motors, and the application for these kind of materials is many fold. I mean, this material now, if you take a look at the second video from the left. Now, if you see this material, it's so hydrophobic that even when you put it into a glass of water, and then you remove it from that. Say this is just sitting, it's mortar sitting in a glass of water, and then you just remove it from there, place it back. Your
Uh,
mix is totally dry.
Sir, sorry, sir, but the only photo is visible. Video is not coming, sir.
The second video is, can't you see it playing?
Video is not playing at our end, sir.
The second video, is it playing now?
Not, sir. Any participant is able to see the video, please?
No, sir. No, sir.
Not visible.
No, sir.
The third video, nothing you can see. The person standing on the
Sir,
the person standing on
No, sir.
the block.
sir, only
I
It
don't
is
know.
still, sir. Only photos we can able to see.
Okay, that is sad, but because I'm not sure, because I can still share my screen. Uh, is there any setting or something like this that means it stops you from sharing video or something like that?
I don't think
Anyways,
so. I don't think so because other speakers have been sharing videos in their share screen. Anyway, we may move further because we
okay.
have been watching videos. Yes.
Okay, no, I mean these are something quite interesting, but anyways. So again, so that pretty much goes to show, like, how we can work on enhancement of the concrete. Next, we'll talk a bit about concrete protection, and what kind of things we can do in that. So when we talk about, even now you can't see the videos running at the bottom.
Not, sir. Not till now, sir.
Okay, I'm not sure how to resolve this. But I've been playing a lot of videos, like I showed you the self-compacting concrete, so you couldn't see anything pretty much.
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay. I'm not sure why it is doing so. Just 1 minute. I'll just share it and try to reshare it. Okay, can you see the full screen now?
Yes, sir. Full screen photo is visible, sir.
Okay, now can you see the video moving in the bottom? Still no?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, that is really sad. I mean, this is the first time I'm having an issue like this, but anyways, let's go ahead. So waterproofing is basically one of the best things that you can do for, I don't know, because a lot of the content I want to actually show you is by videos. So if you can't see anything, I don't know how much sense it will make to do this.
Still photos are there, so I think we may
Yeah, but
continue, sir.
photos, no, but the main, because my next what comes to show you what the possibilities are, it's difficult to show you photos. So it's all videos basically. Um,
Uh,
I don't know. But normally I do it on, I've done presentations on Zoom, every platform imaginable, but it's never kind of made a problem like this before.
Uh, can you share a small video to me on mail and I may try from my end and you may explain, sir, if
No, no, I can't. I mean, there are about 30, 40 of them. So, and they're on the as part of the presentation.
oh,
Uh, Because I don't know, even from my screen you can't see it, and even directly from my presentation you can't see it.
yes, sir. Perhaps from your screen it may be available, it may be abled.
No, you said it's not visible, right? So,
From your system, perhaps it may come. It is taking time to show the screen because still it is white screen, so it may take some time to come.
Now can you see the slide saying waterproofing?
Not yet, sir.
Because I'm not sure why this is happening because my internet speed at my end is it's over 100 Mbps right now. So I'm not sure why it's going so slow.
And bandwidth is also not high, and speed here also is around 40 to 50 Mbps. So there is no, there should not be such an issue.
Now can you see the screen at least?
No, sir, not yet, sir. Yes, sir, screen is visible. PPT is visible, sir.
Okay. Is my full screen this one seen like waterproofing and can you see the my presentation as of now?
Yes, sir. Your presentation is visible full screen, sir.
Okay, so your it says waterproofing key area for protection of structures. You're able to read that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
5 points are
Okay, and
there.
can you see yeah, and can you see the video that is running at the bottom of the screen?
Yes, sir. In the
No, the
center,
videos are running
bottom
at the
center.
bottom. Yeah, bottom center, bottom right, it's running, right? So you can see those, right? Okay, fine. Anyways, now if it doesn't show, there's not much we can do. But so waterproofing is one of the when we talk about protection of structures,
So video,
this is where it basically.
so video is coming now. Video at the right
Okay,
bottom.
that's good. Correct. No, I think it's lagging quite a bit. So from the time that I'm presenting it and to the time you are seeing it, there's quite a big lag. I don't know why it's so. But
Yes, sir.
anyways,
Yes, sir.
so when we talk about protection of structures, so waterproofing is the first thing that come to mind because all these systems that are geared for waterproofing somehow improve the density or they improve the characteristics of the concrete or they provide a physical barrier to the elements. So physical barrier, it will be a physical barrier to water, it will be a physical barrier to carbon dioxide, it will be a physical barrier uh, to chlorides, it will be a physical barrier to sulfates, salts, acids, whatever it may be. So different kind of waterproofing and protection systems is something that you need. It's something that every structure should incorporate in its construction, so that the base concrete itself can be protected. And if the base concrete itself is protected, then automatically the life of the entire
It is only on audio mode.
sorry.
Screen is saying only on audio mode.
My this one is saying only on audio mode.
Uh, no, you may carry on, sir. Carry on, sir. Kindly, sir. This slide, waterproofing slide is there. So I think next slide may
Yeah.
come.
No problem. Okay. So waterproofing that therefore becomes very one of the starting points where we go into the protection of the system. So basically, it is something that is geared to improving the durability of the structures. So waterproofing technologies, as we talk about it, there are many things in this. I mean, waterproofing. If I start to do it as a course, the course itself would last like somewhere about 10 to 15 days. Like it's a lot of things to take into account. But the solutions, the technology that generally we provide as the construction chemical industry. So it comes with basic things like coatings and slurries. So different kind of crystallization coatings are there. There are polymer modified coatings are there. Modified bitumens are there. Today, new generation resins are there. So for example, new generation like neoprene or acrylic resins are there, modified polyurethanes, polyureas are there. And then there are also something which we offer is the preform membranes. So waterproofing in itself, and the last one, of course, is the integral waterproofing that we spoke about earlier. So the solutions, they take care of the concrete itself. That means they protect the concrete itself. They take care of the joints, and then there are technologies based on polyurethanes and different resin systems that also can fill up cracks and thereby both improve the durability as well as life of the structure. So just when we start off, like things like our basic integral waterproofing additives, they really help to reduce the permeability of the concrete itself. So they work on the principle of capillary reduction or capillary blocking due to crystallization or inactive pore blockers, and some of them also make the surfaces very hydrophobic. So combination of a lot of these different kind of materials that we add into one admixture, for example, will really help. So now here is actually another video. It will show you the possibilities of using, say, like injection system. Like, is the video visible to you? So basically, it shows a tunnel in which water is flowing into the tunnel at almost pressures of about 6 bar or a little bit over 6 bars. And this kind of a very fast water ingress or very quick flowing water can be stopped by means of modern injection or PU resin systems. So if you could see, like in the first part of the video that I showed you, it was the water was flowing in very fast. Now you can see the water has slowed down considerably, and after some time, as more and more as you keep going on with the injection or the with the grouting system, the water stops absolutely completely. So even where conditions you think are impossible to stop these kind of water inflows, today there are solutions available to do things like this. So that is why, by doing this, of course, in this case, a dam was saved because they did not have to kind of, it did not let the dam flow away, and then they had to, again invest more resources in trying to build it. So simple repair process like this could easily help save an entire dam. So that is where the entire sustainability or the resilience of the construction chemicals it comes through. Now, like in a lot of buildings, there is often a problem with joints, for example. So again, this video will show you like one of the materials that is used to commonly fix expansion joints in buildings, or to fix joints in precast structures like that are leaking, for example. So if you see, basically this kind of a resin is a very fast setting material. It's white in color, and it's very flexible and has got a great bond. So this material kind of sets almost instantaneously, but at the same time, it is tremendous. It has got tremendous cohesion and also is 100% waterproof. Can you see the video on the screen now?
The video is not coming. Anyway, you may start your video. Means your face is also means you may put on start video button, so that may also help. I think both are interconnected. Start video button. Yes, I think now that video
Okay.
may also.
Okay. Okay. So if you actually see, then there are a lot of these kind of special things available. So this is a material that sets within, say, within 30 seconds, can stop any amount of water, and at the same time can help repair joints. So a lot of these kind of in the realm of how you can apply waterproofing systems, technology has gone really far ahead in the kind of things you can do. Of course, a lot of technology has also improved with barrier coatings. So there are things as basic as simple crystalline applications. Something that is a bit rigid, but it stops water nonetheless. Now the second picture that you see over here, this is actually a polymer modified mortar. So I mean, this is actually a cement sand mortar that is modified with polymer and used as an waterproofing system. But you can just see the amount of flexibility there is in that. these kind of systems have today elongation of say roughly about 200 to 50%, and very high tensile strengths also about 1.5 Newton per mm square. So you can pretty much use this as barriers, and it will stop water in, I would say, any, all, and most conditions. So now, in case that's say maybe if the performance of this material is not enough, there are today mastic coatings available. So these coatings are based on say polyurethanes, they're based on acrylics, they're based on polyureas. There's a wide variety of these liquid resin systems, and with those pretty much, uh, you can handle any different type of waterproofing challenge, for example. So now this is a lot of time people ask me, okay, crystalline thing, how does it work? So mostly it is simply by broadcasting. I don't know if if the video on your left is visible. So something as simple as just sprinkling this material onto your onto the say below your raft, and then casting the concrete on top of it can actually help prevent seepages into your basement. Okay. This is just an idea. Again, a lot of polyurethane coatings are becoming very popular on account of their tremendous tensile properties and tensile as well as protective properties. Applicabilities to both applicability to both concrete as well as roofs is pretty tremendous. You can just see a lot of these applications that are done. So pretty much with these kind of systems, you can really push the boundaries in the structures that you're trying to waterproof. So that apart, we are also looking at different kind of facade protection. So there are different coatings available to treat facades themselves. So these can either be hydrophobic, this can be coatings of different types. You can see they come in different colors. So a lot of these materials, they're not basically paints, but really help protect your waterproofing, help protect your buildings against water, against carbon dioxide, against chlorides, and any other aggressive media that you can think about. Another area that we normally offer is a bit more architectural in nature. So things like tile fixing and sealers. So for example, sealers is something like say maybe if you have got a marble substrate or something like that, and you need to protect it, you can do so. Marbles, granites, other different natural stones in old buildings. So those kind of things are available. How do you make your structures more aesthetically pleasing? If you're again using these stones or tiles to improve the aesthetics of your structure, then you can definitely use these tile adhesives, because one is that they improve the pace of working, they optimize the manpower. There is again no rework, and therefore a lot more sustainability and durability for your structures. And all these things, pretty much like your tile fixers, your sealers, and all these materials, they basically behave like another waterproof coating, which is why they also improve the uh, durability of your structures. So you can use it on various applications, I mean floors and tiles, tile on tile inside swimming pools, wall cladding, industrial buildings. I mean, you name it, and you can do an application over there. Like I said, it again functions as another additional waterproof layer. So that is something that helps the durability of your structure. Then this is another area which is coming in, like there are water repellents like these sealers. They're hydrophobic in nature. So any type of concrete or stone, if you coat it, so on top of that, you can actually get a hydrophobic effect onto your substrate. So that also helps protect your concrete or stone against water, wear, and weathering, and thereby improves their durability. So structures like the Lotus Temple, for example, have used this kind of protective measure to protect it, and you can still see the effects. I mean, I think these coatings are renewed every 2 to 3 years, but basically it has helped it to maintain its facade over so many years, and still looks beautiful. The other things that are available, like I said, from the industrial range are things like grouts. So anytime you want to anchor or use heavy machinery and you want to build its foundations, then mostly your typical concrete might not work, because a typical concrete will have the tendency to shrink then to crack, and it doesn't perform the same, under say under vibratory loads or things like that. So that is why our industry came together with a product line called grouts. So what these grouts do, they're extremely strong motors. That means the minimum compressive strengths that come out of these grouts is over 70 mpm, and they have again very high flexural strengths, almost in the vicinity of about 10 to 12 MPa. So they don't shrink pretty much. That's why they're called non-shrink grout. And these kind of things really help you secure your foundations over the long run. So after that, the final step is the concrete protection system. So these can be hydrophobic in nature. This can be machine applied anti-carbonation coatings, for example. But the main thing that we have seen in practice is that these coatings, they were designed primarily for infrastructure, like bridges, cooling towers, tanks, for under very aggressive kind of conditions. But these can be used also in buildings. And the main part is that the coating itself lasts for more than about 15 years in practice. So for 15 years, it will protect your buildings from cracks. It will protect your building from UV. It will protect it from water. It will protect it from carbon dioxide, chlorides, and any other pollutants. And the life of the coating itself lasts over 15 years. So even after 15 years, you simply scrape it off like old paint, redo the coating, and you're back to square one. But the main point is that it will arrest the deterioration of your structure in status quo. That means once you put the protective coating on top, then any further deterioration in your structure stops almost immediately, because your concrete and the reinforcement in it doesn't have access to carbon dioxide anymore. It doesn't have access to water anymore. It doesn't have access to chlorides anymore. So with these three main aggressive influences out of the picture, your concrete remains in a protected or status quo state um, for as long as possible. So basically, it helps to improve the life cycle of your structures in general. So we have used these kind of structures for a variety of different applications. I mean, we do it on the outside of water tanks. We use it for bridges, foundations, cooling towers. Like you can see here, some examples for cooling towers are there. We are now doing a lot of silos, both here in India as well as outside with it. Of course, it was developed for something like bridges. So bridges is one of our key areas of application. But lately, it has also found application in buildings. For example, even small buildings like this, it is used over plaster to act as an external waterproofing barrier. In tall buildings that use aluminum formworks, or what we call Maiman formworks, you can directly put this coating on. So it behaves both as protection, both as a decorative protection. That means it behaves like paint because you can get it in color, but at the same time it really improves the durability of those kind of structures. You can use it for industrial structures, even for heritage structures like old temples or churches. We have now started using this for really a variety, and basically it looks to improving the life cycle of structures. So the last part that we talk about in terms of our basic divisions is concrete repair. So under concrete repair, a lot of things that you can do is one is the flooring. So basically, like say anytime you have concrete and it needs a certain degree of protection or repair to make it last longer. So different flooring systems definitely help you out. Part of the flooring systems also go into the protective coatings, because they are epoxy or polyurethane or polyurea based floorings. They're all part of protective systems. But the others like dry shakes or things like that are part of your repair or your new systems. So basically, with this, you need lesser steps to complete repair. Your corrosion inhibition and bond coats help save time in your repair process. Easy to spray and apply polymer concretes, liquid floor hardeners, concrete polishing. So all these kind of solutions today, and basically all these are durable solutions that are possible only by use of construction chemicals. So basically, if you enhance your floorings with construction chemicals or with our materials, then basically it gives a lot of resistance to mechanical movement, impact, chemical impact, abrasion, and as well, different kind of heavy duty traffic. So I'm not really getting much into it. But what we offer essentially are things like dry shake floor hardeners that help to improve your basic floor. Then there are cementitious overlays and repair mortars. So for example, even your floor is damaged, there are special solutions for that. There is epoxy self-smoothing floors, then PU, different kind of PU coatings you can do. And then there are also hybrid flooring. So for example, if you need flooring for warehousing, if you need it for for malls or for your kind of commercial areas, you need it for residential areas. All those solutions for specific applications, we have got specific. Our industry can offer specific solutions. So now things for example are also going ahead now. For example, your building has already started deteriorating. Okay, and the building has already started deteriorating, and you need to get into the repair process. So now, for example, after you remove all the damaged concrete, what you'd see inside is your corroded reinforcement. So now, how do you stop the reinforcement from getting damaged further? So in that case, you use different kind of corrosion protection systems. So these can be mineral systems. That means something, it's like a cementitious type of powder that you can mix into water and use those. Or you can use different kind of resin-based barrier coating, which can be based on either epoxy or they're kind of a rust converter or different kind of technologies that are available. So you can very easily these days protect your reinforcement itself from further corrosion. Means you just prepare the surface of the reinforcement and simply brush apply these coatings, and it protects the reinforcement from any kind of further damage. So it is a must. I know a lot of people in India don't especially use this or use a wrong rust remover or things like that. But what's really important that you use is a corrosion inhibitor. Like that will actually help you to save your structure. Different kind of polymer mortars, whether it is hand applied or whether it is spray applied, or like it's like micro concrete. So all these different kind of solutions are today made possible by our construction chemical industry. So if you see, like this is actually a video of a bridge. I'm not sure if you're able to see, but it shows you the general sequence of repairs. So anytime that your structure is damaged and it is spalled off, and then your reinforcement is exposed, your reinforcement will keep on corroding till it's almost gone next to zero. So in that case, you do need to take care of your structure. So simple things like surface preparation really helps. Surface preparing the concrete, preparing the surface of the reinforcement. Like removing all the rust, cleaning it up. That really helps. After that, you go in with a corrosion inhibitor coat to protect your reinforcement itself. Then you go with a bond coat on your concrete so that the new mortar or the concrete replacement can bond very well to it. And after that, you simply go in with one of the reprofiling solutions. So it can be a polymer mortar, like I said, a spray applied mortar, micro concrete, whatever it is. So all these materials are available in different strength grades. For example, if you want to repair a concrete of M40, there is no point in repairing it with, say, a micro concrete that's M80 or M100. So you get these in different strength classes to meet your structure, so that they all behave in the same way, and the solutions are possible. So that is as far as repair goes. So oftentimes also your heritage systems need repair. So for example, heritage structures now work very differently. There are traditional cement concrete way of building or of doing repairs. So basically, the systems for heritage repairs are based on cement free or OPC free systems. They're made specifically for old structures. That they are a lot more hydrophobic, so that they don't deteriorate much. You can machine apply those. Of course, the durability part of it is high, but there are technologies today which we can also create damp proof courses within masonry. Like I don't know if you have these old houses, say especially in places like Goa, Kerala, and also in Mumbai. We have seen a lot of these problems in the south where it rains a lot. You get moisture coming up through your walls. Like if you have a wall which is on the ground, or building on the ground or a basement, in contact with the ground, you see the water rising up through the masonry. So all those kind of things can easily be remediated today. We can do kind of, even say if you've got old structures and your stone or your brick itself is falling apart. So there are today technologies available to reconsolidate the stones, reconsolidate the stones as well. And of course, we can do pointing, or we can there are a lot of options available. I don't know. These are again two videos. Hopefully, you should be able to see them. This is what an um, this is what a heritage mortar or a cement-free mortar actually looks like. It's kind of a whitish. It's kind of a whitish mortar. There is no cement in it. It's already pre-mixed with admixture sand. Sorry, with different admixtures and with sand. So it's a ready to use solution that simply you can do pointing with. You can use it as a plaster, and a lot of different applications are possible with it. At the same time, the I mean, this is made with a kind of it's basically kind of a lime pozzolan mix, and it is enhanced. So it also helps a lot with its workability and with the workability, water retention, the crack, prevention against cracks and so on. So it's kind of like a modern solution to an ancient kind of application. I don't know, can you see the video on the right? This is just to show you how well these materials bond. Like even if you want to bond it to older structures or older bricks, then these materials have got a tremendous cohesion and bond. So they actually bond to your structure like within minutes. The video on the right actually will show you something that is how should we say, like
So video is not coming, sir.
it's just bonding two bricks. Yeah, it's really sad actually, because a lot of my
Yes, sir.
presentation is based on that, but I don't know why. Maybe this WebEx or something doesn't like it. I don't know. So the last part that we come to is the injection resins and the slope stabilization. So again, it's a lot. It comes out of the part of a lot of um, uh, it comes out of the part of a lot of these new generation special resins. And these kind of materials were designed to give instant results. I mean, slope stabilization is a big challenge, like especially when you're trying to do tunneling or constructing in the hillside or things like that. There is tremendous problems in trying to get the slopes stabilized. And using these modern injection systems, really helps to get instant results out of this. So you can now the same, say for example, in earlier times, slope stabilization with cement grouting or something used to take big machinery. You had to get silos and silos of cement, work with it, big machinery to inject it, big, really huge drill rigs to drill the holes into the ground. So all those kind of things were there. Now the same kind of applications. Can you see the pump on your right? Uh, the photo on the bottom right, basically. So a small pump like this can handle problems like this today. And since these materials are all based on different kind of resins, it lasts well for over 10 to 15 years. So it is the same kind of activities that you needed really large investments and uh, really large machinery to work with earlier. Today, the same kind of applications you can do with, say, a very small team. Like to give you an example, we the like initially I showed you one project, or rather I was talking about one of the projects on the dam. So in that entire project, to stabilize the entire drainage gallery that was about 400 meters or something odd long, all it took was a team of 4 people. So 4 people, one of these pumps that you see right here on your bottom right, and this one, and they could say maybe do the work in barely a day or 2 days, and you could see the result instantaneously, and rest of the operations carried on. So with things like that, basically it opens up a lot of opportunities. And this is also actually it says slope stabilization, but it's a very interesting video on how you can stabilize dikes and dams. The small dam structures that you have. So oftentimes, because of rain and because of ingress, they kind of tend to flow away over time. But today with these resin-based systems, you can very easily solve these problems with very minimal intervention. So it's interesting, but can you view this video? Is it working?
Uh, it is started in the beginning, but is not moving. The photo is still photo is the moving. Anyway, it is started in the beginning a bit.
Okay. Okay, because I'm not sure why, but anyways, there's not much we can do. So no issues.
I may do
Uh,
thinking. I may make you the host. Maybe that right may enable you to do something.
no, it's okay. I'm almost done with my presentation, so it won't, because these are some interesting things. Means, it gives you, it gives you a very visual idea of the kind of things it can, construction chemicals can do. So that's why it becomes very interesting to watch it. But anyways, the next part that we talk about is, a lot of the detailing. So it's not only enough that, that we give you different materials or different admixtures and say like, okay, this does this does this, and so on. But another part of our expertise is to know how all these different materials integrate into your construction system. So whatever it be, like even if you're talking about waterproofing, so say maybe our material component in this might be just this one coating at the bottom, but I tell you exactly how to handle your joints. I tell you how exactly to treat your cracks. I tell you how exactly to detail your parapets, and maybe if you need some other supplementary materials here and there, work with it. See, the end, what we are geared to offer you is solutions. So basically, we will tell you or we will show you whatever different things you need to do with our materials and with your existing setup. That means if you have, like in terms of concrete, for example, you say I've got only this, I've got this sand available, I've got this aggregates available, I've got this cement available, and this is what I need to achieve. So basically, the construction chemicals guys like me will come and work with you and say, okay, you have got this, you have got this, you have got this, no issues, and we still um, help you make a workable, durable, and sustainable concrete, basically. So it's not only that we know what our materials do, but we also help you detail we also help you detail on how to use these materials more efficiently, how you can build better so that overall the durability and the sustainability of your construction lasts long. So a lot of these detailing is something that we often work with you. I mean, I just wanted to run through it, like all these things are there. For example, on how to do basements. So both from the point of view of proper construction practices to waterproofing it properly, that is something that we as construction chemical manufacturers or as part of the industry help you to achieve. So basically, to sum up, construction chemicals, of course, it's a wide field. It's not very new. I mean, we have been in this line in India for over 30 years. So a lot of these materials are definitely not new. India is a mature market for us. But at the same time, what we still see, like I'm also part of another organization called CCMA, that is the Construction Chemical Manufacturers Association. And basically, what we are still seeing is that our like the people's understanding of construction chemicals and the people's understanding of how a lot of these different materials work is still very rudimentary. So we also, as part of this organization, we work a lot on training the people. We work a lot on these kind of seminars and webinars and things like that. We are working on some handbooks. We also collaborate with other professional organizations to write other handbooks. For example, with the United Bridge Management System, which is an NHAI project. We are working on on writing a book or writing codes of practice for repairs. With Indian Concrete Institute, we are writing a handbook for waterproofing. With again Indian Concrete Institute, we are writing handbooks on how to use admixtures properly, and lot many more different kind of things are there in which we are involved. We also work with a lot of your BIS codes. For example, your entire CD2 for concrete or CD41 for waterproofing. So we are very active in that to make sure that the latest technology and the latest innovations are coming to India in terms of construction chemicals. So basically, what we help to improve is that keeping in mind social distancing and all, the need becomes that the material should become easy to apply. There has to be much more speed and should aid some kind of mechanization. So that the speed of construction can be optimized basically. So construction chemicals again has a huge role to play on that. So we also bring a lot of speed, economy, and eco-friendliness to construction as a whole, because we can help reduce your carbon footprint overall, help reduce maintenance and repairs, and thereby increase the life of the structure, and thereby reduce its carbon footprint over time. We can help you manipulate the properties of concrete to whatever you need it to do today. Everything is possible. Everything within the realm of possibilities can be explored today with the kind of admixture or construction chemical solutions are there. Today we have got faster curing, no leak structures. So we can help you with different materials that can help you achieve a lot of these kind of things. Of course, repair and protection is something that we can always anyways help. Heavy duty rehabilitation, slope stabilizations, all are possible with minimum intervention and with a high degree of confidence. So oftentimes it's also seen that somebody does slope stabilization or simply mechanical methods are not working. So if you kind of mix that mechanical methods with construction chemical based solutions, then the solutions last much longer or the slopes last much longer. So basically, we also through all of these different fields of activities, we help in advancing construction technology and basically enabling better construction. So with that, I would say we really look to protect the environment again. Our motto, of course, for the entire industry remains sustainability through durability. So because of that, the environment stays protected over the long time. And with that, I would say thank you very much for your patient listening. Okay, this is just some of my contact details. So if you need, you can simply write to us at this thing. You can just take a screenshot of this, and of course, you can also get in touch with Agarwal sir, who can help you directly. So with that, thank you everyone.
If the esteemed speakers may allow some questions, if any, or queries from any participants. If any
Sure,
participant,
100%.
if any participant
Sir, good afternoon, sir. My name is Sanchit. I am a researcher at IT Indore. And from research point of view, I wanted to know like what is admixture industry more interested into, whether it is more towards the improvement of performance of concrete or more towards you introducing sustainability in admixtures. Like whether we should focus on developing, say, organic binders, or we should focus on developing organic admixtures, or we should focus on developing admixtures that are more improved towards improving the performance of concrete.
I would say it works both ways. Means if your question is like research uh, based into admixture development itself, like say a lot of these things are quite proprietary, I would say. Like when we do the development work, so it is focused a lot on it. And also to tell you, like our industry is much more um, it's not a very evolutionary industry, or means sorry, it's not a very revolutionary industry. It's an evolutionary industry. So basically, we have identified over time lot of different materials that came from a lot of other industries, and we learned how to apply it to construction. For example, all your admixtures means if you start up with plasticizers, super plasticizers, for example. So they actually came from the textile industry where they needed to disperse fibers and pigments. But we found that okay, we can also apply it to concrete, and it gives a performance of a certain it gives a certain improvement in the performance of the concrete. So that is why that is how it came about. And from there on, of course, then the molecules started getting better. Then when with the latest generation like PCs, for example, these are now materials that are tailor made for concrete. But basically, we develop these materials, or rather that we develop these materials as an aid to your research to make concretes better. So whether you're looking at more durability or whether you're looking at more sustainability or improved carbon footprint, so the idea is that we develop the admixtures to meet your concrete needs, and not it's not vice versa, like how concretes can change to meet admixture needs. Does that answer your question? So I hope I got that correct.
Yes, sir. It mostly answers my question. Yes, thank you, sir.
Any other participant? Yes, please, Amravati Pamu,
Maybe.
please. Your voice is not coming. Uh, with name, it seems lady, but your voice is not. Your mic is on, but voice is disturbing. Anyway, any other participant, please? Yes, Sudarshan sir. Uh,
If any questions are there and you're not able to connect, you can also put it in the chat box, right?
yes, yes, that will be better. Uh, one participant has written name of admixture. He wants to know name of admixture for corrosion in concrete. I don't think it is clear. Anyway, uh, Kan Kanagraj, D Kanagraj ji, wish to
Yeah,
know.
corrosion inhibitors are a wide range actually. It's not one material or something like that. There is a very wide number of chemicals and very wide number of chemistries that are used as corrosion inhibitors. So these materials are all dosed somewhere between 1 to 5% roughly by weight of cement, and they kind of help to reduce the amount of corrosions primarily brought about by chlorides. I'm like it's mostly gathered towards combating chloride based corrosion. So it comes from the most the oldest known and the most studied material, like it comes from a base of calcium nitride to then more modern amino alcohols, those kind of materials are there. Then you've got what they call migratory corrosion inhibitors. So technology is kind of evolving over time, so based on the kind of application that you're looking for, one of these different solutions can be applied to your particular project.
Any other participant wish to wishes any query to be answered or asked? So it seems no more queries. Uh, one participant has written, what type of admixture will you use to get more? Just on chat box he has written, may kindly uh,
what type of admixture will be used to get more strength. So for more strength, mostly see strength is a function of the water cement ratio of your concrete. So basically, the lower your water cement ratio, the better your mechanical properties. I mean, that is things. It's as simple as that. So, say for example, if you're using a good plasticizer, so with a good plasticizer, what you can do is really reduce your water cement ratio down from, if you're using something like 0.5. So even if you can go down to 0.3 or 0.25, and nowadays, I mean, with modern materials, even you can go down to as low as 0.2 or 0.18, for example. So basically, you would be using a plasticizer or super plasticizer to achieve this reduction in water cement ratio, and that over time will help you get more strength. Now, in case you want to get high early strengths, for example, then of course there are also other materials such as what we call accelerators available. So they can, they either enhance your hydration of your mix, or they will help or they just simply accelerate the reaction or accelerate the initial formation of CSH gel, and that's why you can get high early strengths also. So both will do, but mostly the super plasticizers is what you're looking for to get high strength.
Another one query is, sir, is it possible to remove the leakage in walls after construction? Is it possible to remove the leakage in
Sure.
walls?
Of course, of course. So again, there are a lot of solutions for that. The injection grouting is one option for that. Then also some of these crystallization coatings, they actually use the uh, moisture from your substrate to kind of hydrate and get more and more dense over time. So that is another option that's available. So there are today damp proof courses that are available. So a lot of different options are there, but it's definitely possible to do it today.
Sir, one question.
Again, what kind of solution is based on specifics of the site, but in theory, yes, it is possible.
So one question is there in the chat. Is the products available in local market, or is online purchase provision also available?
As an industry, yes. If you're asking me specifically, then maybe it will go as per need. Like you might need to get in touch with us. If not, we are not there everywhere pretty much. So, but in case you have a very specific need, you can always get in touch with us, and we'll see how to go about it. But yes, there are, as an industry, of course, these things are available in the local markets or at your your shop selling construction kind of materials. So you can definitely find these solutions on there. I think some also sell it online on Amazon and things like that. But everybody should know what they're looking for.
Seems no further queries. Any participant wish to air? If there are no further queries, propose that we may end the session, sir.
Sure.
So, with the permission of the learned speaker, I thank the audience as well as Sunny Sulekha ji for sparing time uh, for discussion with us and for enlightening us about overview of the construction chemicals. Uh, Sir, we are grateful on the behalf of the Rajasthan Technical University and AICT behalf also for you to spare the time. And sometime when the situations improve, we will request you sometime to come to our city as well, in our university as well. For today, with this, I propose to end. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So I'm once again from my sides, I would say really apologies because I'm not sure why something like this has happened and not a lot of the view. Sir, I can't hear you anymore. Hello, Dr. Praveen Kumar. I just lost your. Yeah.
No, no,
So like like I said, I'm not very sure why this has happened. I think it's one of the first times I've encountered something like this. But I'll see if I can probably export my entire presentation as a video. So without the running commentary, at least you'll get to see a lot of the videos and maybe give you a download link for that one. So maybe that would help, and that would give you a visual idea, like basically what I was talking about in the long run. So with that, sir, thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and hopefully the participants also got a lot of inputs on what are construction chemicals and how they should also be recommending it to the industry further, to the construction industry.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you for joining and sparing time. Thank
Sure.
you, sir. And
Thank you.
as
Thank you.
participants are writing in chat that it has been very informative session, and they are writing on my WhatsApp group also. So I am very grateful to you. Thank you, sir. I am stopping the recording and
Thank
ending this. Thank you, sir.